Hey everybody, Faraday here. Um, Today I wanted to talk a little about appearances in relation to magic. Um, what gave me the idea to think about it out loud a little bit is actually some tweets that I saw on Twitter. Um, I see quite a lot of tweets on Twitter that are seemingly presenting a really angry, negative attitude, like saying things like, if you disagree with me, then leave me alone because, my feelings are right and I'm right, or things where, if you tell me how you disagree with me, I'm just going to block you. And they seem very, very angry and they seem very, very closed. And I suppose I might at some point do videos about why that's a bad thing. But the thing about Twitter is, and the problem with Twitter is that there's no context to tweets like that. Um, for all I know, if I click around and follow links and check back in their stream or go look at their page in the last dozen or so tweets, it might turn out they were just attacked by a troll and are just very angry about it, or any number of other things. What they're saying in the tweet might just be an emotional reaction, um, rather than something that's in a longer context. And as a result, you don't, until you take the time to actually look and maybe talk to the person, you don't really know what that's about. But it comes off seeming really negative and really closed and really um, unwilling to have a conversation between individuals, which just on the surface can't really be right, right? Because this is on social media. Why are you engaging in something that involves interchange if you're completely and totally closed to interchange, right? So my assumption is that I'm just not getting all the context. Um, and there's a lot of that. I see tweet after tweet about, you know, don't mansplain to me. I understand and I know this. I myself have seen somebody comment on something that I thought I knew a little about and thought I'd, you know, kick out an opinion only to be told, well, I actually already know that. And so part of it's just the format where, you're limited to such a small number of words where, again, no context. But the reaction is so negative, but you don't know if you're interpreting the action right because there aren't enough words to give a full reaction, or again, have they already been attacked by a troll or something. And there's just very little way on Twitter, at least, to come to a full understanding unless you put in an effort. And I have found so far that on the rare occasions when I thought, well, I sort of like this person, I want to know if I've offended them or if there's something more going on, that there is something more going on, and it generally isn't aimed at me. And it's the limitations of Twitter itself that give these negative appearances, at least in the cases that I've done some following up on. And that had me wanting to think more about appearances. Um, I've studied with a school that uses the major arcana of the tarot as meditation tools in order to explain um, big, important magical concepts, and appearances is key 15 of the devil. Um, why would that be? Um, it's part of an underlying philosophy of monism, that there's only one thing, and that one thing is everything. So I am that one thing, you are that one thing, the Kindle that I'm talking into is that one thing, the light waves and sound waves are one thing, the table it's resting on are that one thing, the chair I'm sitting in is that one thing, um, and that the devil is, the appearances are a part of the what's called the delusion of separateness. So appearances belie the fact that there's only one thing and makes it seem like there's many things. Um, that delusion goes so deeply into our mind that I think of you as a separate person and you think of me as a separate person, and we really don't have a lot of choice in life except to proceed with our lives as if there are many things. Um, some would claim that great masters of magic and wisdom um, have evolved beyond that, and by realizing in fullness the one thing, that they have great magical power. That the reason magic works, the reason we can have what we want and what we need, is because it's really just us calling on the part of ourself that's bigger than our mind that's caught in the delusion, um, responding to us. Um, in any event, that's a little headier than I meant to get to, but it's the reason why appearances comes off like the devil, because it's 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 that whole idea that everything is separate. That if you're angry at somebody because they didn't agree with you, or because they attacked you because of a disagreement, that that's just appearance, because it's really the one thing thinking something through, and the attack or the emotional response are a response to the delusion that there's different things going on there. On a more mundane level, those appearances to those tweets can be having effects that people aren't aware of. You put out a if somebody makes you, if somebody trolls you and pisses you off, and you rant for just a couple of sentences, how many people see that, don't know the context, and think this person is closed, therefore there's no reason to interact? It says right in the tweet, don't bother to give me your opinion, and therefore shuts down that whole process of us communicating and thinking together, and expanding our ideas and evolving our ideas. The fact of the matter is, every conversation, every interchange of ideas involves some sort of personal change. Could be very, very minor and invisible. Over time, the more open we are, the more we talk to each other, the more we learn and understand from each other, the more we change. And it's a good change. It's a willingness to you know accept the universe and accept life and accept ourselves and accept that which is beyond ourselves. Um, it's growth. Um, that shuts it down. We can see things that put us off and close us down because it looks like putting off and closing down. Not only can somebody maybe not want to talk to us because we've done something that makes us seem cut off, but it can make them more cut off because they might be in a place where they actually really need to be communicating, and they see something that gives the appearance of, well, I'm blocked to you, and that could put them in a space where they block themselves to more. Um, Everything that we put out there has a ripple effect throughout the delusion of separateness. Um, so, in some ways, it's important for the magician to, or the practitioner of the craft, to be very careful about what they put out there. Um, there can be a time and a place where putting out something negative is really important, but it needs to be thought about rather than just reacted to. Um, Magic, in and of itself, to some extent, could be argued as just a rearrangement of the delusion of separateness. There's only one thing, and we're the one thing, then we, on some level, already have everything that we need. However, here within the delusion of separateness, we have needs, we have wants, we have desires, and if we use magic to get those needs and wants and desires fulfilled, one way of looking at that is rearranging the delusion of separateness to make it more comfortable to us. And in fact, I didn't get ready the card the Magician, but the fact of the matter is, even by looking at the two cards together in this way at least, you can see that the Magician and the Devil are to some extent in the same position. They've both got one hand up and one hand down, and that's on purpose because of the idea that the Magician is rearranging the delusion of separateness. Now, the infinity symbol, as opposed to the inverted pentagram, suggests that the Magician is aware of the delusion of separateness and is controlling it to his own benefit, rather than being a victim of it. That requires an awareness that that control comes from the creation and manipulation of the delusion rather than just sort of spontaneously reacting to everything and then throwing it out there for everybody to see. If the delusion is a matter of perception and awareness, then we need to be aware that what we do, regardless of the medium we're in, even if it's a silly little medium like Twitter where we don't have enough words or we don't have enough context, that what we create creates perception in others, which will come back to affect us. And that may not be giving off exactly what we want to be giving off. Then again, I have to confess that when I write things, people tend to think that I'm too wordy. So it's possible to go too far. I would think that it's very possible to create the perceptions that you want through Twitter. Maybe even easier than, because it forces you not to use an entire dictionary to explain yourself. I'm brought to mind of something like glamour magic, where you want to appear a certain way. So you use magic to create a perception, deliberately create a perception in people who perceive you. And even on non-magical levels, there are people who dress for success when they're going to a job interview or when they're on the job. I worked in a place once where a tie wasn't required for men, but men who wanted to be in management someday all wore a tie anyway because they knew that upper managers were paying more attention to them than to the guys without ties. People dress when they go out on dates in such a way that they think is going to be appealing or attractive to the person that they're going on the date with. I mean, the creation of appearances to get what we want is not an unusual thing. The question is, how often are we creating appearances without being aware that what we're doing? We're subconsciously throwing out stuff that we don't necessarily want people to see, or giving away more than we want to give away. I know my wife and I, if we're going to fight about something, the thing that we're most likely to fight about is that she doesn't like the way I'm dressed when we're going out somewhere. She doesn't want to be seen with me when I'm looking too much like a bum. She's more concerned about appearances of people that we don't know than I am. Um, in any event, one of the things that the magician is also about is concentration and awareness. And I think that appearances that we're giving off are something that we need to be aware of so we don't end up throwing out that to everyone who looks at us. The other thing is that when we see something that looks like that, rather than just assume that that's what what we're seeing is reality, we need to consider the delusion and maybe look for the that's behind it, rather than jumping to a conclusion about people. And I think that's probably enough for now. Um, I am still enjoying making these videos, even though nobody's watching them. Oh, sorry. Um, Appearances. And hopefully some of you will see this at some point, and if so, please leave comments. I find that I learn more from conversations, and conversations give me more ideas to throw out there. So if you happen to see this, whether you like it or not, please comment. And have a good one, and take care. Bye-bye.